Let's keep it going. How about Grandpa Daddy in Hayward? Hey, GPD, what are you doing?
Hey, I'm on 580, driving in traffic, and I'm listening to you guys. Thank you very much for taking my call. It's always a pleasure, gentlemen.
It is great to have you. Thank you for calling. What do you got today?
I just want to say, you know where it comes from? It comes from emotions. See, a lot of people, we are emotional human beings, but a lot of people don't know how to stop their emotions and think with logic and common sense. I've been on this planet 61 years, man. I had to learn how to be logical and have common sense, and I saw it. When I saw Brock Purdy do that for 8 games, I mean, it's logical and it's common sense. He's got the skill set. And I've been watching Trey Lance, and he, even though he's got skills, he lacks what it takes, or he lacks what Purdy has. That's why they're going with him. And one more thing. If they would just stop thinking with emotions and stop being haters, look, man, do you think that the 49er organization don't know what they're doing? I mean...
Well, some don't, Grandpa Daddy. I mean, I'll answer for a lot of them. A lot of them just answer, yes, they do believe that the 49ers do not know what they're doing, at least when it comes to quarterback.
It's part of the reason why this is happening.
Yeah, there are a lot of people who don't believe that, which I find to be a funny dichotomy, because if you don't believe the 49ers know what they're doing at quarterback, why are you all excited about Trey Lance? You should have assumed from the beginning that they were going to get it wrong, right?
Mark, you always, and you know what, JD? You admitted to everything, Mark. You admitted to all of Mark's logic, but you still had the but. And there's 2 words in the English language that are always misused and misconstrued. But and if. If was a fifth, we'd all be drunk. But if I wouldn't have done that, my wife wouldn't have divorced me. I mean, there you go. You know what I'm saying?
Grandpa Daddy, you always bring a smile to our faces. Thank you very much for the call. Appreciate it. I don't even know what he was referring to.
I don't either. That's fine.
Yeah, but that's fine. It was funny, so it was okay.
Doesn't matter.
I don't know.
It'll slide.
I don't know.
I didn't take it as shots fired, so we're good.
Logic is a tough word when it comes to all of this. But yeah, a lot of people don't think that the 49ers know what they're doing, and that's fine. Do you want to know the one that gets me is not if you think the 49ers don't know what they're doing. You can think that. What gets me is a lot of your opinions seem to be based on like the 49ers being evil. Like, do you think the 49ers have wayward intentions? They're sabotaging Trey, or they're working dastardly deeds behind the scenes to promote this guy and push that guy back. I just wish everybody would understand that the only way Kyle Shanahan comes out of this looking really, really pristine is if Trey Lance was a star. He's completely incentivized for Trey Lance to be great. Don't you all genuinely think that Kyle Shanahan wants Trey Lance to be great? Don't you think that?
He does, just not somewhere else if they don't win a Super Bowl.
That's correct, yes. But I mean, from the beginning.
Oh, yeah, of course.
From the beginning.
And that's why he picked him. I mean, he picked him with the intent on having him
I think some
do everything Brock Purdy did and more.
I think a lot of you think that these are like, right, that you don't trust him. I don't mean that you don't trust him to pick a quarterback. Maybe you don't. But you don't trust that they have, like, just on-the-face intentions. They would like to win football games. That's the only thing that's happening here.
2 mistakes that they made, Mark.
Okay.
The one was the misevaluation of Trey's athleticism, ability to run, and have that be a part of his game. The other misevaluation, and this one I think you could even push back on, but I do think it's fair to bring up, is just the acknowledgement of how long it was going to take. Like, if you're going to take Trey Lance and you know it's a project, like, you need to have some feel when you have a championship caliber roster as to, is it going to take, because I think they thought this guy will be good enough to lead us to a Super Bowl by year 2.
I agree.
Even if he didn't play a lot year one.
They better have thought that.
Well, I think they did.
They better have thought that, because if they didn't, if they thought that this was a 3-year project, then what a horrible idea.
So I think they misevaluated the athleticism part, the fact that he would be able to be a dual threat at a high level, and that the running ability would allow him to be on the field while he developed as a passer. That's the first part where this just doesn't click, right? Because he's not this adept passer. We're going to run him, but part of, if he's a threat to get out on the edge and gash the defense, and inside both, but if the threat of the run keeps the defense honest enough to where some of these throws are going to be a little bit easier or a little bit more simplified within the offense, then that's something you can live with if the guy's going to play a little as a rookie or play a second year and win and develop, right? It's almost like the two times, like we're going to win and develop. The Warriors analogy.
And the Giants,
So they misevaluated his ability to the athleticism, which is, now he's just basically a pocket guy, which is fine, but you didn't make that distinction until now going into year 3. So that's one fail. The other fail is just you have to have some understanding of what the timeline is going to be, and does the timeline fit your other goals? And I
think that's fair. I think their answer on the second one would be that injuries the first year derailed his timeline. However, the problem with that is what we're looking at now. And
you're saying the finger injury that so it screwed up the offseason.
Because he's overcompensating and he couldn't throw right, and that busted the timeline. The problem for me on that is it's now year 3. It's year 3, and whether you've had live game action, preseason, whatever, everything we're seeing at every stop at this point, whether it's somewhere, but some people will be like, it's awful. And some people are like, oh, it's mediocre. Whatever it is, it's not good enough. This isn't good enough. You know what I mean? You can't watch that game last Sunday and keep standing on the mountaintop screaming that the 49ers should this, that, and the other with Trey Lance. How can you watch that game and say that? I know it was only a half. I'm not writing off his career. But if that's your take, well, how can you watch that game and think that? The 49ers have a game in a couple weeks, 3 weeks, whatever it is. So Amal in Union City is next up. Hey, Amal, thanks for calling.
How you guys doing today?
Great, man. How about you?
Man, I'm still alive, still kicking. Can't ask for more nowadays.
Say it again.
But you know what? A lot of that segment of Niners fans that are really rooting for Trey Lance remind me of the character in Dumb and Dumber that Jim Carrey played, where she asked him, where he asked her, man, just hit me with it. What are my chances? 1 in 100? He's like, no, it's more like 1 in a million. So what you're saying is there's a chance.
Exactly.
And that's what these Niner fans are holding on to. They can't see the data. The kid is a bust. And it's okay. A lot of first rounds are bust. They don't make it. That's okay. Let's move on. But they still think there's a chance. Guys, thanks for taking the call. I want to go to radio and listen to myself. Have a great day.
Okay, run, Amal. Get there quickly. You might be able to get the last few sentences.
That's funny.
How long is the delay, Grandy? How long do you have to do that? It's kind of like those, those panoramic cameras from 25, 30 years ago? We did this in middle school. I went to a Washington, D.C. trip with my whole class, and now you can just grab a phone and do a pano picture. But back then, they would set us all up in front of the Capitol building, and they'd tell the kid who was at the end, they're like, as soon as I raise my hand up, run to the other side of your classmates. And the kid would be in the picture twice because of those pano cameras. I think that's what Amal just did with his radio call.
Yeah, we're running on a 12-second delay, so Amal, the time has passed. But if you missed it, you can go to YouTube, go to the Odyssey app, and just rewind a little bit, and then you can listen to yourself.
Look at that promotion by Mark Grandy. That's why he has a professional job in this industry. Right there.
And he's a really likable guy.
That too. At least there's one of us in this room. Good Lord. Amal called him a bust. I'm still...
Yeah, see, I'm not even doing that.
Yeah, I don't want to... And I'm admitting that maybe that's just I don't know. Maybe we should. I don't want to use that word.
Not yet.
I don't want to use that word.
Why would he be a bust? Like, if there's anything, and we haven't talked a lot about this week, maybe some in the pre-show, if there's anything that's blown me away this week, believe it or not, it's how strongly
everybody left.
Yep. It's how strongly it's so so negative. Like, you can't play. And JT O'Sullivan, I can't be on a roster, and we haven't gotten to Joe Banner, and I mean, it just like it just feels like, whoa, like. All I'm saying is he's the third string quarterback right now. Like, everybody else is like, it's over, it's a wrap. It's one of the worst trades in NFL history. It bust. Like, what? Like,
by the way, so JD references JT O'Sullivan on our show yesterday. And yes, I asked him, the problems you saw on video against the Raiders, are they fixable, or are these things that just should not be happening at this level? Listen to the answer.
I'm never going to be the guy that puts an artificial ceiling on someone's ability to improve. I think that if you were to show me that film of his first half, that first quarter, and I were to not know what was invested draft capital-wise, I would say this player is going to have a hard time being on an NFL roster right now. Now, that's not reality, though. They have invested a significant amount of that capital into him. They are invested as an organization from the outside looking in his performance. And so, I think he can continue to develop. I think he's in a tough spot.
Oof. Yeah, it's not a good quote. It's not a good quote. I don't want to use words like bust. Here's where I'll split the difference. I would not come anywhere near right now calling Trey Lance a bust. I think it's fair if you are a 49er fan and you want to call the pick a bust. Because what you did was you used three rounds worth of draft capital, 3 years worth of first-round draft capital on a player that you are not planning to get anything out of this year. So from that perspective, I'm not going to say Trey Lance can't play football. I am going to say the 49ers ROI is a total bust.
And it's especially tough when you start to look around, and I had seen this list earlier in the week of all the different quarterback or different players that the 49ers could have had between the draft picks that they gave up.
That'll drive yourself crazy.
Everybody from Kyle Pitts to Jamar Chase to Pat Surtain,
Jalen Waddle, Micah
Parsons. Yeah.
You know how I lull myself to sleep on those?
J.C. Horn.
Whenever my head goes there, I go, they wouldn't be able to pay them all. Brandon Ayuk and Nick Bosa would have to leave if they had drafted those guys because they wouldn't be able to afford them all. But I'm only saying that just to make myself feel better.
They might have traded Debo because they have McCaffrey. Or
Maybe.
They might not have ever gotten McCaffrey.
Maybe. Yeah. And that's why I don't go down that road. Like some of those players, like the 49er picks ended up as part of them. Like one of the 49er picks was part of the Tyreek Hill trade. Mm-hmm. It doesn't mean you could have had Tyreek Hill for that pick.
Yeah, I don't go that far.
I hear people doing that.
No, I don't do that.
They could have had Tyreek and Jalen Waddle and Micah Parsons.
The problem is, though, like a bunch of the picks, especially the 21 year, like the next 10 picks were all sweet players.
They were nails. Yeah.
It was almost you could have just picked one out of a hat.
No, that's
and
what
you would
I
have
mean.
got an awesome player.
That's why I think my ears would be open to you if you want to say the pick was a bust because they're not getting anything out of it. But I'm not going to call Trey a bust.
And they've also
it's too early.
In fairness, they have made it to both years with two different quarterbacks.
It hasn't killed them.
Made it to the championship.
It hasn't killed them. You're right. Yeah, Rob and San Bruno. Hey, Rob, you're on with Willard and JD. What's up, Rob?
What's going on? See, look, I find it funny how we ignored the Houston game where he came in where Jimmy almost threw us out the playoffs, and he played very well, won that game. But then y'all want to look at him and judge him off where he hasn't played football in the whole year. The whole year, broke his ankle. He playing with guys that probably won't even be on the roster in 2 weeks, and y'all going off of that. But then y'all only talk about the negative stuff. Yeah, he made a few bad throws. I've seen Jimmy Purdy do that all last year. But he also made some big-time throws, so I don't understand it. One more thing, Willard, all last year, I listen to your show all the time, by the way. Last year when Trey was all you kept saying was, we're a Super Bowl winning team. We got to get to the Super Bowl. It's Super Bowl or bust when Trey was the starter. Now you backtracking with Purdy. No, don't backtrack.
Rob, if you say that I ever said championship or bust, I know you're lying because I've never used the phrase. That ain't me. That ain't me. Did I say that the 49ers had championship aspirations before last year? Sure. But that wasn't belief in Trey. I had no idea what was going to happen. No, it was belief in the roster.
You said Super Bowl or bust.
No, Rob, period. No, flat. No, I don't do that. I've never done it in my life. Zero. I am not a championship or bust fan. I don't look at sports that way. Okay? I just don't. Now, this game against Houston, here's the other response to you, Rob. This idea that we all forget what happened in the game against Houston, but we spotlight one game. I'm not, and nobody here is spotlighting one game to criticize Trey Lance. You have got to look at reality. The 49ers have evaluated the player for 3 years, and they're not into it. That's all we're saying. JD, you've accurately pointed this out a number of times. I feel like I'm one of the few people who can say this. I'm not getting swayed by what happened last Sunday. I already thought that.
That's true.
I've been saying this for months. And it's not because of anything I see with my eyes. It's because I'm watching what the 49ers are doing. Their opinion is as clear as day.
Yeah. The other thing is... Because the part of Rob's call for me was I've seen this guy do bad night, but you've also seen them win a lot and put a lot of good tape out there, and and this is the part where I'm going to say this, and people are going to categorize it as part of maybe what they think isn't fair about it. But Trey Lance is not. He's not going to get the leeway that Jimmy got in 17 and 18 and 19. Like, he's not going to get the leeway that Brock Purdy earned based on the way that he played over those 8 games. Like,
they have a resume.
Like, he's not going to get to do it with the ones. Sorry. Like, that's just like, it's tough. It's circumstances. That sucks. Like, the only way he's going to get a shot at the ones is if the other 2 guys get hurt, it looks like.
By the way, he balled out against Houston.
He was good in the second half.
You want the numbers?
Give me the number. He was good in the second half.
Because if I give you the numbers, it's going to sound exactly like a Jimmy G game that y'all hated. Okay? They stunk out loud in the first half. They were better in the second half. They were playing the worst team in the NFL, and Trey Lance went 16 of 23 for 249, 2 touchdowns, a pick, and was sacked once and ran for 31 yards. Okay.
It was...
Balled out?
He was good enough to win that game.
Balled out.
Got better as it went on.
I reserve balled out for, I won my fantasy game because Jalen Hurts put up 45 points. 249 yards, 2 TDs, a pick, and 31 yards rushing. Falls somewhere short of, quote, balled out. He had a great throw to Debo. That was a wonderful highlight.
And you can also make the case that the fact that he played that well gave the 49ers confidence to make him the starter last year.
Great point.
Which they did.
It's a great point.
So I think you could make the case they used that in part to say, hey, all right, we're good. Yeah. Like if he can do that again, even if it's just against bad teams, if he can do that, there's a baseline to where we can live with this as a developmental year where we're also trying to win.
Don't you remember the vibe after that game?
I do.
The vibe after that game was, I'll try to use my tone here. Okay.
Yeah,
that was the vibe. Nobody was running around going
there's something there.
Oh my God, future star. Nobody was doing that.
I mean, maybe the people that thought that he should have been starting from the jump were doing that. Because the one thing, and again, I hate to do this, but it's my literal mind.
Yeah.
I do remember a little of, because you compared it to Jimmy. It's like, well, he didn't play all year, and he put up a Jimmy line. He could have done that all year.
Yeah.
Again, I'm playing devil's advocate.
Right, but the conversation we've been having for a few years is not, can Trey Lance be Jimmy?
Well, no, but his rookie year without playing. Sure. I mean, this is his rookie year without playing at all.
It was
for a couple of years.
It was mildly. It was nicely encouraging. That day.
That's what it was for me.
Nicely
That's what
encouraging.
It was for me. Because we don't disagree. We don't disagree. I'm just bringing up the.
Yeah.
I'm bringing. I remember that. Like, well, okay. Like,
Yeah.
he could have done, but it's like he could, but there were some that were saying,
I was freaking
well,
out
he
at
could have done
halftime.
that all year.
Yeah.
Like, he could have done that all year.
And maybe he could have.
And if his first year, because there was a lot of, well, Trey's going to be as, like, because again, a lot of this was the Jimmy put down, but there was a lot of, well, Trey can be as good as Jimmy. Like, Trey can be as good as Jimmy, like, pretty quickly, if not immediately, but by the end of his first year, because Jimmy ain't that good anyway. Trey's got all his talent. He'll work with Kyle. He'll be as good as Jimmy. And I think that was, for some, a validation of, well, why didn't you start him the whole year? Because that's kind of what it could have looked like. There was some of that.
Sure. Of course there was. Of course there was. Yeah. I'm not gonna. First of all, a phrase I have literally never said in my life: championship or bust. I think the whole concept is dumb. And secondarily, the idea that like this game last weekend suddenly shifted my position on this even 1 inch is it's laughable. It's laughable. And everybody who's here in the building and everyone who's listening to this show every day knows that. No, there's nothing against Trey. The 49ers are right where they were before Sunday's game. Not that into it.